Hey y'all, it's Melissa here at Twin Oaks Family Farm in rural Southeast Ohio, USA. Welcome back to Twin Oaks Farm Poultry, and we're headed to the meat bird production barn. I think the fam is headed with me. It is Memorial Day 2024, but feeding and taking care of livestock, that never stops. So when you're on a farm, it's still work day, even when it's a holiday. But we have a flock of Cornish rock cross meat chickens that we are now preparing to take to the processor. So we take our chickens to a United States Department of Agriculture processor to have them butchered and processed into poultry. So we are needing to do what is called feed withdrawal. So hopefully the family will be joining me in here in the barn. It is Memorial Day 2024, as I said, so May 27th, I think, 2024. These birds right now are 36 days old. They're resting. They're not debilitated, and they're not sad or unhealthy. I want to reassure you all of that. But they are resting, and that's what meat birds do a lot of. They rest, they eat, and they do both of those things a lot because they grow a lot. So we all know that just from our own human experience, growth requires nourishment, food, and growth requires resting and sleep and restoration. So we see that a lot in our meat birds, but they are 36 days old, and you heard that right. They are going to processing for poultry at the age of 5 weeks, 2 days. So they're ready, though. They're ready. They're ready to go. We're going to actually have this flock made into, and see, they move well. So the legs are not compromised. We're going to have this flock. Hi, Tanner. Hi, Tanner. I don't want you to go in the chicken pen. I'm talking about the chickens to the people right now. So if I can get the guys to come on in and remove the feed, if I can get the guys to come on in. Hi, guys. There's Whale, and there's Drill Master, otherwise known as Drew, and there's Huck Truck, otherwise known as Owen. We can get these guys to come in. We're going to do feed withdrawal, which sounds a little bit fancy, but it's really super simple. It's exactly what you see right there. It means we actually take the feed away from the birds. So for our birds, they're never without feeders from start to finish. And they're virtually never without feed, unless they would just eat all of the feed out of the feeder trays and we are holding them to a feed schedule. In that case, they might go, oh no, guys, will one of y'all go do a rescue, please? So we've got a protective gate there. Drew, will you please go help that bird? He's hung up. So we've got a protective gate there, and there must have worked a little gap between the runner board and the gate. And so that poor birdie got himself down in between. And see, very simple process. Our youngest son there is very handy farmer and worker and excellent student, but all it took was him gently reaching his hands down. I think that's all the feed, fellas. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Wade. Tanner is supervising. So again, on the rescue, it's just a very simple process of observing, acknowledging, and somebody going over there and gently picking the little bird up out of where it was stuck and helping it. And it had just got stuck in there because they all made a move since we were in here, and I can show you right where it went. So we just have had this gap work in here between this protective gate to form a barrier and this was here so that there would be no gap between the bottom of the doorway and that piece down here. So we had put that board in there, but in that instance, and you see there's a filler here, but since it didn't extend, in that instance, that bird just got his leg down. But that's the beauty of being involved with your production agriculture animals and checking on them. You see those kind of things happen, and you can be there to help them. But I assure you that bird is fine. It just startled itself by getting itself in an awkward position. As you saw, our son rescued it, and it's fine. So at any rate, so now basically the kind of manual part on our end as flock managers of feed withdrawal is accomplished. That's really all that's involved in feed withdrawal, is go in there and take the feed away from the animals. But that is a common practice and a necessary practice prior to any kind of butchering and processing of production agriculture livestock, because before they go to processing, you want to try to make sure that there's no undigested food in any part of the digestive system, and you want to make sure that there's no formed manure in any part of the digestive system. So you want to take the food away early enough that they can digest anything that was already in their system, and you want to take the food away early enough that the animal can eliminate anything that it had already started digesting. So that's why we do feed withdrawal. And with poultry, the recommended feed withdrawal is 12 to 18 hours prior to processing. So for us, we know that the earliest that our birds are going to go to processing is 8 a.m. on the day that they're 37 years old. So we knew that the latest we could initiate feed withdrawal would be 8 p.m. on the day that they're 36 days old. So it's actually now about 5 p.m. on the day that they're 36 days old, and we have initiated feed withdrawal by taking the feed away from them. So what will happen now is water will stay in the pen. You never take the water away from your animals that are in feed withdrawal and preparing to go to processing. You leave the water in there. You actually want them to continue to drink water, and you want them to continue to move around some. So for instance, with poultry, you wouldn't want to take feed away and then have it lights out, because if you did that, they wouldn't get up and move around, they wouldn't go to water anymore, and they wouldn't have those necessary components for digestion and elimination. For digestion and elimination, the necessary components are hydration and movement. So we need them to continue to drink water, and we need them to continue to move around at least every so often. So as I said, we'll leave the water in for them, and we see them going to water, so that's an excellent thing. And I'm actually walking kind of a loop around the pen right now, so we will want them to continue to go to water, and we will about every hour, at least probably until 11 or so tonight, come in and kind of stir them gently for a walk around their enclosure here. We don't need them to get that excited, but we will ask them to move around. So we'll walk around, and that'll get them to move. And between continuing to drink water and moving around a little bit, which as you can see there, they're moving pretty well. Between doing those two things, then these birds will be able to digest any food that they've eaten and eliminate the food that they've digested and will digest. And then by the time we load them for transport and take them to the processor, they should have everything eliminated from their system as far as formed manure from digested food. So what that does in the end, is it helps make sure that it's as sanitary at the processors as it possibly can be. And this flock, I am super, super pleased with.